Amitabha. From the Sutra. Moreover, the land of ultimate bliss has ponds of 7 jewels, filled with the waters of 8 virtues. Just as with the rows of railing, netting, and trees, the number 7 in ponds of 7 jewels symbolizes perfection. Unlike the gems of our world, those in the Pure Land are perfectly pure, flawless, and soft. Their colors are incomparably more varied, and their tactile quality vastly more pleasing. After hearing about these wonderful features, we need to remind ourselves that we do not go to the Pure Land to surround ourselves with exquisite gemstones. We go there to achieve the attributes they symbolize: purity and perfection. The Pure Land has myriad ponds filled with the waters of 8 virtues. All who wish to can refresh themselves in the ponds. The Implied Sutra explains that both the depth and the temperature of the water change to meet our preferences. The water will be as deep or as shallow, as warm or as cool as we would like it to be. But it is not just the water that is wonderful. Everything in the Pure Land makes the beings there feel peaceful and content. The first of the water's 8 virtues is clarity and purity. The water in the Pure Land is perfectly pure, unlike the water in our world, which is contaminated by natural and human-made pollutants. Even water from our most remote mountain streams has impurities, ranging from minerals to bacteria. The second virtue is coolness. The temperature of the water in the Pure Land depends on the being's preferences. To say that the water is cool means that it calms and cleanses the mind. Water temperatures in our world are subject to changes in weather and other influences. Ranging from boiling to freezing, the water here can quickly become hazardous. The third virtue is sweetness. The water in the Pure Land is pleasing and refreshing. In our world, ocean water is salty and undrinkable in its natural state. Even fresh water often tastes unpleasant. The fourth virtue is lightness and softness. The water in the Pure Land is very light because the beings there have let go of attachments and discriminations. In our world, because of our myriad attachments, the water is so heavy that a single gallon of it weighs over 8 pounds. The fifth virtue is softening. While the water in the Pure Land is moistening, water in our world can dry out our skin. Thus, we often have to resort to moisturizers to return our skin to its earlier supple and soft condition. The sixth virtue is peaceful. In the Pure Land, the water accords with the being's wishes. As it is always soothing and poses no danger, the beings feel very peaceful. Water in our world may be beautiful and calm, but it can also be dangerous, inundating all that lies in its way. The seventh virtue is nourishing. The water in the Pure Land makes the beings there feel energetic, not only free from thirst, but also from hunger and illness. In our world, drinking too much water leads to bloatedness and discomfort. After we drink, our throat can still feel rough and dry. We could even die from quickly drinking an excessive amount of water. The eighth virtue is nurturing. This is the most important virtue. The water in the Pure Land helps the beings there to strengthen their good roots. It purifies their thoughts, enabling them to improve their practice. And merely by touching the water, they are invigorated. In this world, not only does water provide mere temporary relief from thirst, it is often unhealthy, thus causing problems for both our body and mind. From the Sutra. The bottom of each of the ponds is pure golden sand, and the stepped walkways that lead up from all four sides of each of the ponds are made of gold, silver, lapis lazuli, and crystal. Above the ponds there are towers which are adorned with silver and gold and lapis lazuli and crystal and mother of pearl, red agate, and carnelians. On earth, the bottom of ponds is mud. The walkways and buildings are constructed from bricks, concrete, and stone. Whereas in the Pure Land, the bottom of each of the ponds is pure golden sand, and the walkways around the ponds are made of gold, silver, lapis lazuli, and crystal. Knowing that we are already familiar with the beauty of precious metals and stones, Sakyamuni Buddha used these 4 gems as examples. In reality, the infinite gems in the Pure Land are far superior to those here on earth. The Infinite Life Sutra describes how the towers and pavilions, which serve as both dwellings and places of learning, are in the sky as well as on the ground. Like the walkways and ground, the buildings are made of gemstones, with colors and brightness varying from one to the next. Amitabha Buddha has adorned the land with such beauty for everyone, for the well-being of those already dwelling there, and for those yet to be born there. Everything in the Pure Land is done to help beings there progress in their practice. With our confidence in the marvelous aspects of that land thus strengthened, we will be even more determined to be born there. From the Sutra. In the ponds, there are lotus flowers as big as cartwheels, blue ones shining with blue light, yellow ones shining with yellow light, red ones shining with red light, and white ones shining with white light, each emitting a subtle, pure fragrance. The beings in the Pure Land are born not by being thrust from a womb, but by stepping out of a lotus. This is significant because those born from a womb experience the 8 types of suffering. The suffering of birth includes the suffering of being inside the womb, not just of being born. A being inside a lotus, however, does not feel any discomfort or pain. Indeed, The Amitabha Sutra tells us that when in the lotus, one feels that the flower is the whole world. The Amitabha Sutra tells of various colored lotuses. Blue ones shining with blue light, yellow ones shining with yellow light, red ones shining with red light, and white ones shining with white light. Blue, yellow, and red are primary colors, those that cannot be created by mixing other colors together. The presence of these primary colors assures us that infinite colors are possible in the Pure Land. Everything there, from the adornments to the beings, glows with light. The light radiating from each lotus is of the same hue as the flower. While lotuses in samsara have a pleasing fragrance, the lotuses in the Pure Land have a subtle, pure fragrance. Great Master O.E. wrote in his commentary on the Amitabha Sutra that the subtle, pure fragrance of the lotus flowers is emblematic of their special virtues. They are ethereal, unobstructed, formless, and not sense objects. Where do the lotuses come from? We know that in this world, lotuses grow from the mud at the bottom of ponds. Gradually, the lotuses rise until finally they break through the surface of the water. In the Western Pure Land, however, the lotuses arise from our mind. If we now believe, vow to be born in the Western Pure Land, and chant the name of Amitabha Buddha, a lotus bud with our name on it will appear in a pond in that land. The size, radiance, and color of the flower will reflect our diligence in chanting. If we stop this practice or change to another Dharma door, our lotus will wither. But when we grow increasingly sincere and happy in our chanting, our lotus will grow bigger and brighter. As we breathe our last breaths and single-mindedly chant the Buddha name silently or aloud, Amitabha, accompanied by a retinue of bodhisattvas, will come to us with our lotus. We will then enter the lotus and sit upright within it. When it is time for our lotus to open, we will step out. Our body, glowing with light, just like our lotus, will be fully grown with the same appearance as all the other beings in the Pure Land. We will then be able to stroll around the Pure Land, listening to the birds teaching the Dharma, or attending the assemblies to hear Amitabha teach. We can be born in this extraordinary land if we have belief, resolute vow, and truly practice. An ancient patriarch said for those who engaged in Pure Land practice, without intermingling with other practices, if 10,000 people truly practice, all 10,000 would be born in the Pure Land. Their success is due to their firm belief, resolute vow, and enthusiastic practice, according to the teachings. But more recently, we have been told that if 10,000 people practice, only a handful will succeed in being born in the Pure Land. Why the difference? These few sincerely believe, vow, and practice. The vast majority do not. So their chanting is not single-minded, Thus they fail to be born in the Pure Land. Understanding this, we should value our good roots and good fortune. Although we have been reborn in this world of ignorance and suffering, we have encountered an inconceivably rare opportunity. The opportunity to become a Buddha. We need to have the determination to want to be born in the Pure Land, and the will to let go of all worries and afflictions. We do this because we realize that everything here is an illusion. Nothing else matters as much as being born in that land. From the Sutra, the land of ultimate bliss is complete with all these adornments and virtues. In his commentary, Great Master O.E. wrote of the two primary causes that resulted in all the wonderful aspects of the Pure Land. First, the wonders come from the support of Amitabha Buddha. He vowed that if wonders arising from his inconceivable merits and virtues did not fill his land, he would not become a Buddha. Since we learn from Sakyamuni Buddha that Amitabha does indeed exist, we know that these wonderful aspects do indeed pervade the Pure Land. Second, the Pure Land exists because of our own mind. As we chant Amitabha Buddha's name, we purify our mind. As it is purified, it merges with the mind of Amitabha. Amitabha's vows and our pure mind result in a beautifully adorned and virtuous Pure Land. From the Sutra. And there is more. Celestial music is constantly playing in this Buddha land, and the ground is made of pure gold. Heavenly flowers rain down at all hours of the day and night. In the morning, the sentient beings of this land fill their robes with multitudes of wondrous flowers and make offerings to hundreds of billions of Buddhas in other worlds. When it is mealtime, they return to their own land to eat and circumambulate the teaching assembly. One of the many wonderful aspects of the land of ultimate bliss is celestial joy. The joy that comes from music that plays naturally. The making of offerings to hundreds of billions of Buddhas. Heavenly flowers that float down to rest on the golden ground. Luminescent, the flowers cover the ground like a soft carpet. When we step on them, they sink by a few inches. When we lift our foot, the flowers rise as well. When it is time for new flowers to fall, those already on the ground naturally disappear. The name of these flowers is Mandara, a Sanskrit word meaning as one wishes. This name assures us that there is no suffering arising from unfulfilled desires, which is one of the 8 types of suffering that we undergo in our world. As Mandara flowers, the blossoms take the form we wish. If we prefer jasmine, the flowers will be jasmine. If we prefer roses, the flowers will be roses. The flowers rain down at all hours of the day and night. But why speak of night when there is none in a land that is always glowing with light? The phrase, day and night, accords with our human habits and how we perceive time. Thus, Sakyamuni described the falling flowers in terms that we could relate to. In the morning, the beings gather masses of wondrous flowers to make offerings to hundreds of billions of Buddhas in other worlds. When it is mealtime, they return to the Pure Land to eat. This description illustrates how quickly the beings can visit and make offerings to Buddhas in other lands, and then come back to the Pure Land. Since this takes so little time, we know that even those in the lowest land, the land where sages and ordinary beings dwell together, have extraordinary powers. These include the ability to see all forms, to hear all sounds, to know the thoughts of others, to be anywhere at will, and to accomplish something by willing it. When visiting Buddhas in other worlds, the beings do not have to return immediately to the Pure Land. If they have good affinities with the beings or the Buddha in another land, they may stay there longer to help those beings or to learn from that Buddha. If their affinities are light, they can return sooner. The decision to stay longer or come back sooner is wisely based not on attachments, but rather on Dharma affinities. Having good Dharma affinities and extraordinary powers, the beings in the Pure Land can help others. In contrast, here in samsara, while we may wish to assist others, we lack the necessary abilities, impartiality, and wisdom to do so. Our mind is fickle, our good fortune inadequate. Thus, when we attempt to come to the aid of others, we are hindered by our attachments and aversions, which seem only to increase even as we try to do something good. It is little wonder that we often fail in our attempts to help. Once we are born in the Pure Land, all this will change. Like the beings in the Pure Land who can accumulate great good fortune and merit by making daily offerings to countless Buddhas, we too will be able to accumulate merit. Listening to Amitabha Buddha's teachings and asking questions at any time, we will remain enthusiastic and progress steadily. And like everyone there, with Amitabha's support, our enjoyment, wisdom, and abilities will be similar to those of eighth ground bodhisattvas, beings who are a few levels below Buddhas. This achievement is possible thanks to Amitabha's causal vows, the vows he made before becoming a Buddha, and his support for us. Having read the sutra, we should realize that we too need to have the great vow to help all beings. Realize also that the extraordinary powers we attain in the Pure Land are already within our true nature. By chanting Amitabha Buddha's name, we will uncover this true nature and receive his support as well as that of all Buddhas. From all this, we can see why chanting the name of and being mindful of Amitabha Buddha are the foremost extraordinary powers. From the Sutra. The land of ultimate bliss is complete with all these adornments and virtues. This sentence concludes the description of the gems, ponds, buildings, flowers, and music that perfectly adorn the Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss. How did Amitabha Buddha know what he wanted to include in his land? While still the monk Dharmakara, he practiced and visited 21 billion Buddha lands, and adopted the good points and corrected the shortcomings he had seen in each for his own future land. He then made 48 vows, engaged in pure practice, and accrued merits and virtues. With these accomplished, he created and adorned the Pure Land of ultimate bliss. In all of this, Dharmakara's every thought was to help all who wanted to learn the Dharma. He felt great compassion for those who often encountered obstacles in their quest to learn. Obstacles from not having suitable environments. Understanding this, Dharmakara sought to provide the best possible environment in which these beings could learn and practice. And he succeeded magnificently. From the Sutra. And there is more still. In this land there are birds of all sorts of wondrous variegated colors. White cranes, peacocks, orioles, egrets, calavinkas, and jivanjivas. All these birds bring forth harmonious songs day and night. Their songs communicate such Buddhist teachings. From what Sakyamuni Buddha described, we can see the principal reason to be born in the Pure Land: to listen to the teachings. While birds in our world are reborn as such due to their karma, the birds in the Pure Land were created specifically by Amitabha Buddha to sing the Dharma. Listening to the beautiful songs in the Pure Land, beings there can learn even while strolling along the paths or resting by the ponds. Sakyamuni specifically named white cranes, peacocks, orioles, and egrets because people in this world know of them. But in the Pure Land there are myriad birds, all far more marvelous than anything we know here. And so Sakyamuni introduced two of them. Calavinkas, whose name means beautiful sound, and jivanjivas, birds with two heads. The Buddhist teachings spoken of in this passage refer to the 7 major components of the 37 limbs of enlightenment. They are the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts, the 4 bases of supranormal abilities, the 5 roots, the 5 powers, the 7 factors of enlightenment, and the Eightfold Path. In samsara, we focus primarily on the first 3 sets of components. In the Western Pure Land, we deepen our practice as we continue with the latter 4. We begin our practice of the 37 limbs with the 4 foundations of mindfulness. These 4 enable us to observe a given situation with wisdom. The first foundation of mindfulness is contemplation of the body as impure. Contemplation refers to the thoughts and views based on true wisdom. And so contemplation of the body as impure is our view of the body. If our body were pure, it would not cause us any problems. We would not become sick. We would not age. we would be in control of our body and always happy. The stark reality that we do become ill, that we will age, and that we are neither in control nor always happy, should make us realize that our body is impure. It is but a bag of skin containing flesh, tissues, blood, and bones, with bodily wastes regularly expelled from its 9 orifices. The body ages, grows ill, dies, and decomposes. Very honestly, there is nothing worth being attached to. With this awareness of how to properly view our body, we can use it more wisely. While there is no need to pamper it, we do need to care for it. When tired, we rest for a suitable length of time. When hungry, we eat some simple, nourishing food. Sakyamuni Buddha did not tell us to cherish or indulge this body, but neither did he suggest that we abuse it. We are to understand what it is, a vehicle to carry us to our goal. What is that goal? To transcend samsara and be born in the Western Pure Land. The second foundation of mindfulness is contemplation of feelings as suffering. As we have learned, suffering permeates our life. Even if we feel happy at this moment, experience teaches us that our happiness will not last. And when it ends, we will again experience discomfort, if not distress, or outright suffering. Furthermore, we are not the only ones who undergo suffering. All beings in the cycle of rebirth experience 3 kinds of suffering. The 3 are the suffering from the feelings that arise from contact with unpleasant things, from the deterioration of form, and from the passage of time. The kind of suffering a being undergoes depends on which of the 3 realms, desire, form, or formless, the being is in. The desire realm consists of the paths of the hells, hungry ghosts, animals, humans, asuras, and the 6 lowest heavens. Beings in this realm undergo all 3 kinds of suffering: contact with unpleasant things, deterioration of form, and passage of time. These beings are ruled by their desires and feelings. To be governed by these is suffering, and the more one resists, the more one rails against it, the more one suffers. The form realm consists of the next 18 heavens. Beings in these heavens have achieved a certain degree of meditative concentration and have severed the 5 desires for wealth, sex, fame, food, and sleep. But because form itself is subject to the cycle of creation, existence, and destruction, these heavenly beings still undergo birth, old age, sickness, and death. While they no longer experience the first kind of suffering, which arises from contact with unpleasant things, they do undergo the second and third kinds. Suffering arising from the deterioration of form, and suffering arising from the passage of time. The formless realm consists of the 4 highest heavens. Beings in these heavens have achieved deep meditative concentration with lifetimes that can last as long as 80,000 eons. They are the most advanced beings in samsara. Having realized that the body is the root of suffering and that form is the cause of misfortune, these heavenly beings do not have or want a physical body. Free of physical bodies, they do not experience the first two kinds of suffering. But the third kind, suffering arising from the passage of time, still exists for those in the formless realm. Even in the highest heavens, the lives of the heavenly beings are finite. Once these beings deplete their good fortune, their lifetime will end. As they realize that their meditative concentration is not permanent, that it too will cease, they suffer intensely. Nowhere in samsara, from the lowest hell in the desire realm to the highest heaven in the formless realm, are beings permanently free from these three sufferings that arise from feelings. Grasping the significance of this truth will help provide us with the motivation necessary to transcend samsara and, finally, leave suffering behind. We accomplish this by being born in the Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss. The third foundation of mindfulness is contemplation of the mind as impermanent. Sakyamuni explained that in just 1 second, hundreds of thousands of thoughts arise and then cease. We presume they are simultaneous and connected. We believe they are real. But Sakyamuni taught that our thoughts are impermanent, for they are always changing. Since the ordinary mind is impermanent, with passing, wandering thoughts that are not real, there is nothing to attach to. And yet, we regard this mind as self or I. But how can I be real when my thoughts and mind are not? Only that which is permanent and unchanging is real. Ending delusion and ignorance is real. Selflessly helping others is real. The Pure Land is real. And by practicing in accordance with the teachings in the Amitabha Sutra, we can go to that land, forever leaving impermanence and falsity behind. The fourth foundation of mindfulness is contemplation of all things as without self, as dependent. Our always wandering thoughts create a tangle of ceaselessly changing causes and conditions. These causes and conditions produce impermanent phenomena that are dependent on other impermanent phenomena. They are not independent. We are not in control, not at peace. Contemplating the four foundations of mindfulness will help us see the truth. In samsara, the body is born from a womb and is tainted. In the Pure Land, the body is born from a lotus and is pure. In samsara, feelings are suffering. In the Pure Land, there is great joy. In samsara, our constantly changing thoughts result in impermanence. In the Pure Land, permanence abounds. And finally, in samsara, all things are without self-entity. In the Pure Land, the beings have uncovered their Buddha nature and are at peace. By contemplating these four foundations of mindfulness often, we will uncover wisdom and move closer to being born in the Pure Land. Next in our practice of the 37 limbs are the 4 right efforts. This group of practices concerns unwholesome and wholesome states. The first and second right efforts are preventing new evil from arising and ending existing evil. Moreover, in addition to the avoidance and elimination of evil, virtues should be cultivated. We accomplish this with the third and fourth right efforts of generating new virtues and enhancing existing virtues. The standards for virtue, which serve as the foundation for both Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism, are the 10 virtuous karmas. The opposite of the 10 virtuous karmas are the 10 evil karmas. Why are these karmas called evil? As we read in the Seeker's Glossary of Buddhism, Buddhism is not dualistic and therefore does not divide phenomena into absolute good or evil. It recognizes evil as limitation and therefore purely relative. There is therefore no problem of evil as in theistic systems of thought. All evil is traced to desire for self. The basic evil is the idea of separateness, and the Buddhist goal is the removal of evil by the eradication of every selfish inclination. If an evil thought has already arisen, or a wrongdoing has already been committed, steps should be taken to prevent it from happening again. The evil karmas of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, false speech, divisive speech, harsh speech, enticing speech, greed, anger, and ignorance are harmful to all those involved. When thoughts of these unwholesome karmas are extinguished, wholesome and virtuous thoughts and behavior will follow. The 4 right efforts underlie all of Sakyamuni Buddha's teachings. We should eliminate what is evil and give rise to what is virtuous. As an example, consider the paramitas of giving, precept observation, patience, diligence, meditative concentration, and wisdom. Greed is bad. Giving is virtuous. Committing wrongdoings is bad. Observing the precepts is virtuous. Anger is bad. Patience is virtuous. Laziness is bad. Diligence is virtuous. An unfocused mind is bad. Meditative concentration is virtuous. Ignorance is bad. Prajna wisdom is virtuous. We need to eradicate greed, wrongdoing, anger, laziness, an unfocused mind, and ignorance, and replace them with their opposites: giving, precept observation, patience, diligence, meditative concentration, and wisdom. Doing so, we will have continuous pure thoughts. Eventually, we will attain supreme, perfect enlightenment, Buddhahood. For us deluded beings, wandering thoughts and misfortune are the norm. Sadly, meditative concentration and good fortune are not. To counteract this, we need to practice the 4 bases of supranormal abilities, which are the next major component in our practice of the 37 limbs. The 4 bases of supranormal abilities are not superhuman powers that need to be acquired. We already have these abilities in our true nature, but too often they lie dormant. We have yet to reach the calm mind that allows our supranormal abilities to arise and function. The 4 bases of supranormal abilities are strong aspiration, diligence, mindfulness, and inquiry. Widely used throughout the sutras, these terms have varying meanings depending on the context in which they appear. By studying both the sutras and the commentaries, we will better grasp these contextual meanings. For example, we can view the 4 bases in terms of what they lead to: contentment, constant joy, peace of mind, and understanding the truth. The first base of supranormal abilities is strong aspiration, the intense longing to succeed in our practice. This yearning to achieve is the antidote to our laziness. As our aspiration becomes firmer, our laziness will abate. Gradually, we will grow more content. The second base of supranormal abilities is diligence, which leads to constant joy. Diligence enables us to continuously progress so that we move forward in our practice at a rate that suits our capabilities and levels. When improving every day, every month, and every year, how could there not be joy? What gives the practitioner joy? Progress, which comes from daily diligence. What is suffering? Remaining stuck in our cultivation, or even worse, regressing. The third base of supranormal abilities is mindfulness, which leads to the peace of mind that a focused mind brings. For Pure Land practitioners, this is one mind undisturbed, as taught in the Amitabha Sutra. In one mind undisturbed, one's mind is not deluded. A commentary on the 10 Virtuous Karmas Sutra called this mindfulness, one mind correctly dwelling. When our mind is correctly dwelling, whether mindfully chanting the Buddha name or when working, interacting with people, or engaging in tasks, it will be free of wandering thoughts, discriminations, and attachments. At this point, our mind will be at peace, for this is the state of one mind undisturbed. On the other hand, if Pure Land practitioners' minds dwell incorrectly on wandering thoughts, discriminations, and attachments, they will not be at peace. Thus, correctly dwelling with one mind undisturbed is crucial. The fourth base of supranormal abilities is inquiry, or investigation. It is using wisdom which will enable us to understand the truth. With this understanding, our mind will not be deluded, and we will attain great freedom. The four foundations of mindfulness: the body as impure, feelings as suffering, the mind as impermanent, and all things as dependent, will enable us to wisely observe situations in which we find ourselves. The four right efforts: preventing new evil from arising, ending existing evil, generating new virtues, and enhancing existing virtues, will help us to be virtuous. The four bases of supranormal abilities: strong aspiration, diligence, mindfulness, and inquiry, will help us to increase our meditative concentration and good fortune. With these practiced in samsara, we will be prepared to progress further in our practice of the 37 limbs of enlightenment in the Pure Land.